Welcome to the Health and Happiness Show. As many of you know, I, Janet Huckins, will be your host this evening. And what I would like to do is explain to you that I'm an herbalist and I'm a doctor of naturopath, and what we try to do is give you some healthy tips on to improve your lifestyle and improve your health as well. Our goal is to get to the root cause. If you're having any issues with your health, we try to go and see if maybe you're a little on the toxic side, need to go in and clean up internally. And as many of you know, our disease today is coming from standard American diet and toxins. So basically, we need to be the CEO of our body. And yes, we all need our primary care doc, of course, but still, you know, we need to get to the root cause rather than taking a prescription from the pharmacy, in my opinion. But there are times, say you're a severe diabetic, absolutely, you need to take your medication. But you need to get out there and walk as well, because that lowers the blood sugar as well. And of course, watch your diet. So what we try to do is, when I do a consultation, like I just had a lady in on Tuesday, and we had done the saliva and urine testing. And we had gotten her started on a program, and she came back in 8 weeks to see what progress we've made. And yes, we made progress, but we still have to go in and dig a little bit deeper now, and then she'll come back in the fall again, and we'll see what progress and what improvements we have made. You can't get your body in balance overnight, and considering the fact she was in her 60s, it's going to take some time. And that's why I love working with like people and, you know, the younger generation, of course, like in their teens or especially their 20s or 30s, because we're creating a foundation so we can build this body and plant a seed and get them starting on keeping their immune system strong. So if we do an assessment on her by doing the iridology and I find out that she's very toxic, then we can get that individual on a cleanse and clean their body 4 times a year. One time isn't going to do it, because we're exposed to toxins morning, noon, and night. It's not like it was when our grandparents were here and, you know, things of that sort. This is a whole new world today, and you've got to be the CEO and be in charge of your body. So, you know, whenever we have a lot of toxins, of course, what we do is, I always suggest, and this is what I do personally, is you need to do a cleanse every season change. And that's a good way to remember that, because we do a newsletter every month, and this one is on surviving in a toxic world. And what we have done is, Stephen Horn has written this, and then I've also included some tips you personally, like for number 1 is check your deodorant. Make sure there's no aluminum in that deodorant, because your body is going to suck that up as well, okay? And then also, we want to drink good quality water, not the chemical cocktail coming out of the faucet. So, you know, you've got to be one step ahead and, you know, look at what you are putting into your body. And then, of course, we need to check your labels, and we're going to talk about that more next month, because next month I will be talking on the blood type diet. You know, if you're type O, if you're type A, foods that are beneficial for you. And we're going to go in and talk more about the Yucca app, and I'll explain to you how that works, and you can use that whenever you're out shopping and checking your produce as well, or a lot of your products as well. So basically, you need to try to do, this is a great season. Hopefully many of you have your gardens. May it be small, maybe you have a little pot on the deck with your tomato in it, maybe you have a little raised garden outside, whatever, you're growing your own food, and you know what you are taking and ingesting, and you know how clean it is compared to many things that we buy in our store today. So anyway, this is a great newsletter as well, and it goes in and it tells you, you know, the different options. Whenever we're very toxic, of course, we muscle test you, because everything has an energy rate, and we'll go in and see if you need the Thai cleanse, if you need environmental detox, if you need the chlorophyll as well. And I love the chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll goes in and it goes in and it balances your pH, because when we're too acidic, that is when disease begins. How do we get acidic? We get it from the standard American diet, coffee, soda pop, and stress. So when I'm seeing clients today, I'm seeing toxins, number 1. Number 2 is stress, and they can't sleep at night, and they're too acidic. And this is why probably at least 90% of the clients go out with a bottle of chlorophyll as well, because it's an easy fix. And all you do is you take it and you add a little bit to your water, and there you go. And usually this is a small container. And we have Sandy and Ken here, so I'm going to offer you some too, Ken. I know you're already green from all of the things you feed your animals. So pour some in there, just a little bit. So the chlorophyll is excellent, and it's a very minty taste, and you can even give it to your children as well. So that's something to consider. Add it to good quality water. And we have the Kangen water machine, so when a client comes in, I always serve them the 9.5 water with the chlorophyll as well. Now, I have a very few clients that they can only tolerate the 8 or 8.5, because I can control the strength of the alkaline water as well. And so, you know, after we find out if they're having an issue with that, then we go back to the 8. So anyway, that explains a little bit about what we do, and also it's by appointment. And we have a little brochure as well, because what we do is we do the saliva and urine testing, and then we also do mini consultations where I just do the iridology and muscle test you as well, because both of those are different price ranges, and we try to keep it affordable so you can be in charge of your body. So okay, so we're going to do our 1 healthy minute here so we can move on. And one thing I wanted to share with you, last month we had Dr. Miller on, the ER doc from Georgia, and the Old Order Amish, which is now a doc, which I think, I still look at his book and read it, probably glance through it, probably. You know, you have to read it. It's a great, great book. And he grew up in Coshocton County, and he comes every spring for a book signing as well. So hopefully we'll have him back next year as well. But we talked about Lyme disease and keeping our animals in health as well. So Dr. Fisher is my holistic vet, and she shared something with me which I would like to share it with you. What we have for our little Minnie is a BioPower Pet Shield. And so Joanna will bring up the printout or the picture of Minnie with her little emblem on there. You can see it hanging down under her chin, and that protects her. It's a natural pest protection tag for cats and dogs, and that is a protection against fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes for 1 year. So, and there's no chemicals, no pesticides, and it's a stainless steel clip to the collar, and it lasts 1 full year, and it gives off a natural frequency that repels pests. And one thing I've noticed with her, she seems a little bit calmer as well. And yes, I still do a tick check, because we were down in Holmes County and we were out in the woods and all that, so it makes me a little paranoid, because you know, you just don't know. But after 1 month, it's good full protection. I have found 1 tick in the first month, and now we're into the 2nd month, and Alice been clean, and it was on her little ear as well. So I will still check her to be cautious, but it's so much better than putting a spray or a powder on. And you can also order them on the Amazon or the internet, I believe. And then here is the information. If you need more, you can always call me as well. And it's for cats and dogs as well, and you just put it on their collar. But just remember, it takes 3 to 4 weeks for full protection. So I wanted to share that with you, because we didn't have that last month as well. So here we are, summertime, so hopefully everyone is enjoying their garden, maybe going out and picking their lettuce, because that's all I have at this point. And I do have a little tomato, a little one the size of a grape, so I'm watching that very carefully as well. But here we are, we're going maybe camping, maybe we're going on a vacation, or we're going away for a 3-day, getaway. So what we need to do is have an herbal first aid kit. Now, we're leaving in January for a week, and yes, I will put it in a shoebox because I have my little box right here, but it isn't really enough. And you can see this is like a little fishing tackle box that you can put it in if you choose. But what we have a little getaway in Holmes County. And I want to share with you what happened when we were down there. We had taken our grandson along. And, you know, I mean, he's out in the woods, whatever. He comes back and he says, Bubba, you know, I got stung by a little bug or a bee, got a bee bite. And I said, okay, no worries. So what did we do? Because I have our herbal first aid kit there at the cabin as well. So we went in and we got the activated charcoal, which I have this at home as well, and I have it there. And what we did is I gave him the first aid lesson, which was great. He's 8 years old. So what we did is we pulled the capsule apart of the charcoal. And we had a little cup there, and we put some of the powder in, and I added some water, very, very little water, and tried to make a thick paste. So I put the thick paste on his arm, and he wanted a Band-Aid on it, so we put the Band-Aid on it as well. He came back in 5 minutes and said it doesn't hurt anymore. So what it does, it pulls the venom out. And it's so interesting because when we were watching our other grandson, who's now a graduate from college, but when he was like 3 or 4 years old, he got stung by a bee at our house. And again, I did the charcoal. And it pulled it right out, and it's amazing. You can feel it pulling as well. So it's always good to have the charcoal available. It does come in a bulk, and it does come in the capsules. I prefer the capsules because I control the small amount much better. And I've used it in other situations as well. I know my daughter was in college, and she was having a reaction to a different type of tampon that she was using, and she broke out into hives, into a rash, and we got her on the charcoal, and it took it right away. So charcoal, they used to use in the ER for drug overdose as well. So I'm just saying it's something that's very inexpensive, and it'll no shelf life on it. It'll last forever and ever, because I've had my container open for a long time. So that's the number one that we will always have with us, taking it with us on vacation, especially if you're camping. Wherever you are, it's good to have the charcoal. So that's number one. And then number two is we have the little packet of the capsicum. Capsicum and then the yarrow are kind of interchangeable. I prefer the yarrow, and I'll tell you why. Both of these will do the same thing. Say if you break a glass and you get cut, for example, you can pull the capsule again, put the capsicum right on that cut. It'll stop the bleeding immediately, but it may burn. Where if you put the yarrow on, because again, my grandson occasionally will get a nosebleed, and we will take the yarrow and put it up his nose, and the nosebleed is gone, and it does not burn. Where if you use the capsicum, it will burn. So I'm just saying, you know, these are some things to have on hand, and you can put them in little packets and with the, you know, have them, you know, labeled as well, and those are some good choices for you to do. So those are some simple ones, and then of course, I'll have to go under here. I have some other things. So we always have to be prepared. So what I like to do too is I like lobelia. And another name for it is Indian tobacco. Because whenever I do a show, maybe a holistic psychic show, or I'm at the flea market in Hartville, people will say, you know, okay, I have leg cramps. Well, usually we're lacking some magnesium. We will muscle test them, or some minerals as well. We are very deficient in our soil today for minerals. So it's a good idea. I personally try to take the liquid minerals at least 3 to 4 times a week. Yes, I should take it at least every day, but you know, this will have to do because I get very busy and I get overloaded sometimes. So anyway, the Indian tobacco or lobelia, interchangeable names. If you're getting a muscle cramp, you can take this liquid and you can put that on that cramp and it'll be gone within 2 minutes. But our goal is to get to the root cause on why you're having the leg cramp. And again, it's doing, like magnesium is a great supplement, and 60 to 80% of the population is very deficient in magnesium. And it can go in and relax your heart, help you sleep better at night, and that's usually my go-to when people are having difficulty sleeping. We need to relax that body so it can recover and regenerate during the night. So the Indian tobacco is a very good relaxant, and you can take it in a liquid form, which I prefer that. And you can take like 20-30 drops, add it into a little bit of water, or you can put it directly under your tongue as well. And so that's something that we always have as well whenever we will have that on vacation as well. And then also another thing that we will have is arnica, which we have that down in our little escape in Holmes County as well. And the arnica, like say somebody fell and kind of sprained their ankle, or they bruised themselves, you can put some arnica on there. Like if I bumped my arm or something here and I bruised it, I can put the arnica on and it'll take the shock right out, and it'll go in and prevent it from bruising as well. Arnica is very, very, very helpful in that respect. And again, it's in a liquid form, which I prefer as well. Okay, and then of course we will take the seasonal allergies, the ALJ. And at this time of year, the allergies have been really bad, especially since the air is really kind of congested at this time from the fires in Canada. So what you can do if you're having difficulty breathing, and this helps the lungs as well, it has horseradish in it, it has fenugreek and mullein in it as well. And what I did personally, I took 4 of those this morning because I was tending to sneeze as well. And the beauty of it is you only take it when you need it. So, if you only need it like once a week or maybe once a month, there it is, you have it. And the shelf of life, that is 5 years as well. And then, of course, if you're out camping and say maybe you're on vacation, there's a lot of sun and wind, we always have to have our aloe vera. Okay, and this is a gel, because somebody's going to get sunburnt. Make sure you always cover up your feet and your nose as well, because those are the tender parts. And you can put the gel on, and that's going to go in and pull the heat out as well. So we always take that along. So I'm just giving you some good tips on that. And then, of course, we have to take our olive leaf and our silver shield. And the thing is, the olive leaf and the silver shield both work for viral bacteria, candida, and parasites. And then, like say, if you have little children that are say like 2 or 3 or 4, and they don't like the taste of things, there's no taste to the silver shield. So you can just put it in some water and they can drink it, or add it to their juice, whatever. But they can just drink it plain and there's no taste to it. And remember, if you're having some dry eyes, you can put it in your eyes. It'll go in and help clear up the eyes as well. You can put it up your nose. You can put it in your ears as well as taking it by your mouth. So that's one of the benefits of the silver shield. Now, the olive leaf is, of course, in an alcohol, a concentration. So if you don't like the alcohol, you put it in some water. I use a shot glass. And what you will do, if you let it sit for like 3 to 4 minutes, the alcohol will evaporate if that bothers you. And what you do is take that, you pull up the dropper, I pull it up 3 or 4 times whenever I'm taking it. And that should help you if you're starting to get a cold or someone's not feeling well as well. A lot of viruses going around still at this time. So I'm just saying those are some options to pack on your camping trip. Especially, we've got to do the charcoal. We have to do that. And then also, I like my tea tree oil as well, because that's a quick fix. Say you don't have the charcoal, you can put that on. If you're having something itching, because I was outside working, planting some flowers again, and then of course I started itching from bug bites, and I didn't want to mess with the charcoal because I had like 4 different spots. I just put the tea tree oil on there, and you can add the lavender as well, and that will cut the itching down right immediately. So those are the different things. And then, of course, somebody's going to get stressed out, so we have the distress remedy. And that's a homeopathic, and you can take that under your tongue, like 10, 15 drops, whenever it's needed as well. And we also have a little bit of the lavender, and then we have the peppermint oil too. If you're having some difficulty breathing in your nose, you can put the peppermint oil on. And then I always add this because somebody's going to always need this. This is the peppermint oil and the herbal adjustment. The peppermint oil, you can put it in your water if you're having some digestive issues as well. That'll calm the stomach down. And then, so that's one thing you can use it for. You can also sniff it up your nose if you're having difficulty breathing through your nose. And then what you can do, if you're getting a headache, you take the peppermint oil and you just take this and you rub it on your neck if you're getting a headache. And what that's going to do is that's going to get more oxygen into your system. Because whenever you have a headache, everything kind of constricts. And then what we're going to do is you're going to add a little bit of lobelia to this. I'm sorry, not lobelia, herbal adjustment. Because in the herbal adjustment is lobelia and capsicum, and that's going to increase the blood flow as well. And I know I've had a friend come to the house, and she was having a headache, and I put some of that on, and the headache was gone within 15 minutes. She couldn't believe it. And she was pretty medical and not open to the holistic choices. So that kind of made her think about, there might be something to this. And that's one other thing I want to share before we move on is I received a call from Brenda, and she lives in Pennsylvania. And I had seen her over Memorial Day at the Hartfield Flea Market, and I started on a program. Because when I'm at the flea market, I do the iridology and I muscle test you, and of course there's no charge. So I started on a program of the chlorophyll, and I started on a turmeric combination as well. And she called to tell me, I don't know how to thank you. It kind of took me by surprise. She said, I feel like a new person. She said, I was on prednisone and all this medication, and I don't like to be on it. So I decided to try what you are doing. Of course, you can't reduce your prednisone. And so the doctor had been weaning her off of it. And she said, I have so much more energy. My pain has decreased, and I feel like a new person. So sometimes we have to kind of take little baby steps and decide, do I want to try this? And we'll keep it simple and, try to put a plan together for you, and you have to decide if what you want to do. So I just thought I would share that with you because, normally people don't call and say, hey, I want to thank you. And I said, God is the one that guided her into the direction, and this is God's medicine, so it's entirely up to you. So anyway, just try to be responsible whenever you're going away on a camping trip or on vacation. So you have your natural remedies here, your first aid kit, so you're prepared. Just keep it simple, your charcoal, maybe your capsicum, and of course I would take the olive leaf or the silver shield, and then the aloe. So we can kind of narrow it down if you choose on where you're going and what you may be exposed to. Okay, so I would like to introduce our guests again, and that is Sandy and Ken from the Elm Run Farms in Orville, correct? Mm-hmm. Right. And they were on last year, and I wanted to have them on again because it's so, so important. I can't say enough. Our disease today is coming from standard American diet. And toxins. So we've got to talk about the foods and why they have the best meats around. So anyway, how long have we been in business, and how did this all occur? So let's start from the beginning.
Well,
what do we say, right?
We started doing this about 10 to 12 years ago.
Okay.
We purchased the farm that Ken had grown up on.
Okay.
And I was doing some research on healthy eating and trying to clean up our diet and things like that. And we were learning about the benefits of grass-fed beef. And so in the process of purchasing the farm, that wasn't our original intent to get into grass-fed beef, but that's one thing led to another, and that's what we ended up doing.
Okay.
So, and then we added the pastured pork, and we added some chickens and some turkeys, and we do eggs now as well.
And we have pigs and everything, yeah. So whenever you bought the farm, did you have any of the animals when you bought the farm, or was it
No.
a slow progress? You just
No.
bought some for yourself, and then
Initially, yes.
initially,
Yes.
and then one step led to another. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, why is your meat so different than in the grocery store?
Well, that may be more your department.
Okay. Right, because I know I love your meat, I love your eggs, so we'll start, we'll keep it simple.
Well, one of the big things is we don't use drugs and hormones.
Absolutely.
So much of the meat that is grown commercially in these large factory farms, they use a lot of hormones to make them grow faster.
More money.
They've used antibiotics to keep them from illness because the corn that they're feeding, they're pushing so much corn. We feel that cattle were initially, they were totally grass. Animals have only recently, I don't know how many years, but more recently in time, have actually ate grain. Cattle were always just a grass animal. And now we're finding out more and more that actually in grass-fed cattle, it changes the fats. So the balance of omega-3 and omega-6 is actually very correct for what our body needs in relation to what grain-fed beef would be, which is very high in the omega-6s but doesn't have the 3 to go along with it.
Nice.
So that makes it healthier that way. And the flavor is much, much better.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the things that amazed me. My initial thinking, because I didn't have the understanding of grass-fed initially, my initial thinking of grass-fed is they're going to be really tough. The meat's not going to be tender, it's not going to be good.
Right.
And there are people that sell grass-fed beef that is tough. I've heard that from customers and from other people. Oh, I had grass-fed beef, it's really tough. It's like, well, there's a learning curve. There's a genetic difference in cattle. Some genetically need corn to be able to grow right. That's the genetic disposition. But if you have the right cattle and you have good quality grass, then they grow and marble really well, and it's nice and tender, and it just has so much more flavor. I don't put anything on my steaks at home. When I grill a steak at home, I just grill it and eat it. I don't put any salt, any seasoning or anything on it because it has a good flavor to start.
We like to say we grow the flavor in. You
I
don't
like
need
that.
to add
We grow
anything,
the flavor.
so,
That's
yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
good. And you don't use nitrates, correct?
No, none
Right.
of our
No nitrates.
none of our meats are processed with nitrates of any kind.
Right. That is awesome. And then the thing is, tell us, like right now it's summertime, so they're out in the fields.
On grass, yeah.
Right. So maybe they can bring a picture up of the, there they are now. So we can see them. And nice. So how many acres do we have again?
We have around 90 acres.
Okay.
And then in the wintertime, obviously grass doesn't grow when it's snowing.
Right.
And so we've learned that if we roll out hay on the ground, and then the green there is barley grass that we grow inside in the shop, and we take it out to them twice a day
Nice.
on the back of our Kubota.
Right.
And we take it out and scatter it on top of the hay.
Yeah.
And that way our cattle get green grass year round.
That is awesome. That I was so impressed because I belong to the Western Price Foundation, and we had been introduced to you when you had an open house and showed a tour of your farm. I was just very, very impressed. So it's a lot of work, I'm sure, and it's
It is a
year
lot of
round.
work.
I mean, but the good thing is the barley, you only have to grow it in the wintertime. So
Right.
yeah, so that is all good. So what are some other, tell me about the chickens now. The chickens, I love your eggs because let's say we get the chickens from you, we get them at the store. We don't know if we're getting GMO corn feed, soy in that feed. We don't know what they're getting.
Right.
So tell
Right.
me how it's so much different.
So the feed mill that I buy the feed from, they have either organic or certified non-GMO.
Okay.
So all the grain that goes into that whole facility never sees the GMOs.
Good.
There's no chance for contamination from GMO.
Good. That's great.
So, and every load of grain that comes in, they actually do a test on it to verify that it does not have GMO.
That's very good. Very
So
good.
we're feeding them a very natural grain diet. With the laying hens, we also we ferment barley grain. We don't grow the grass, we just ferment it.
Okay.
And then we mix that fermented barley with the dry layer feed.
Okay.
So they get a combination of the two, and they really like the barley grain.
Well, and I noticed the yolks are so yellow, you know, and I'm sure you probably have a lot of people telling you the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
And
you
they say
know.
they taste so much better than the eggs they buy in the store.
Well, yeah,
what
exactly.
people tell us.
Yeah, yeah, because I know I had ordered some from you today because we're having Father's Day next weekend. We'll have deviled eggs, macaroni salad, the whole bit, you know what I'm saying? So it's very, very, very good. So you said you ferment the barley. How do you do that?
We just soak it in a barrel
Oh, okay.
for a couple days,
Okay.
and then we actually just scoop it out into a cement mixer and mix it with the dry feed.
Okay.
And then dump that out into buckets and take it out to the chickens in the pasture.
Nice, nice. Now also, you have turkeys for the holiday coming up, of course, which is going to be here before we know it. So do you have two different growing periods, correct? You want to, how does that
Okay,
work?
yeah, so for the turkeys, our first batch came a couple months ago, and they're growing now. I think they get butchered next month,
Early July.
early July, and that group will get all ground in for ground turkey.
Okay.
It's hard for us to grow enough for the ground turkey and for Thanksgiving turkeys all at the same time.
Right.
It just takes up too much space. We don't have
Right,
that
right.
facility. So we do it this way. So we have some now that are getting ready, getting big, and then next month we'll get new babies that will be ready for Thanksgiving turkeys then.
So how many turkeys did you get the first round?
I think we got 75 the first
Ooh.
time,
Ooh.
and we have what, 100 or
100
125?
125 or 50.
Something
like
coming
that,
here.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are the turkeys doing, the new group? Did we lose many? Because I know we had talked about that last year. You had lost some.
We did a lot better
We
this year.
did much better
Yeah,
this
we
year,
did a lot
yeah,
better this
yeah.
year.
Okay.
We realized some of our mistakes. You know, there's just things there's a learning curve in everything that we do.
Well, yeah, but
And-
whenever you get like 50 to 100 turkeys, that's a lot of babies to keep
Yeah,
an eye on.
it is.
Yeah.
So what do you have, a little heated area you
Yeah.
keep
Oh,
them
yeah.
in?
Yeah, we keep them in a little brooder house.
So who does all the mothering? You?
No. No.
I mean, that's a lot of work, you
It
know.
is, yeah.
That's very nice, nice.
And one of the things we learned early on is that baby turkeys are very, very fragile. They're even more fragile than baby chicks.
And why is that?
I don't know. I'm not sure why it is.
When turkeys get cold, they stack on top of each other,
Oh, okay.
and they smother the ones on the bottom.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was the challenge. I remember a year or two ago, one night about 2 o'clock in the morning, my wife woke up and she said, "Hon, the electric's off." And I jumped out of bed and took off running because I knew these baby turkeys were not going to do well.
Right, right.
And so I ran for the generator and got the generator going. And then I went to the turkeys and got them unpiled so that we didn't lose very many.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And then tell us about the pigs, you know, because you have bacon. And then I ordered the ham roast from you, which I love the ham roast. I don't know if you do what I do, but I buy the roast and I cut it up into different sections. And then when I pick my green beans, I can throw that in with the green beans.
okay, sure.
Okay. All right. So about how many pigs do we have now?
I think around 35,
Okay.
about maybe 40. I think I've got some more I'm supposed to pick up. So we'll have around 40 of them.
That's a lot.
And they're out on pasture. And kind of an interesting story, this year when I brought the first group in, there was seven of them. And we thought they were trained to a fence, but they obviously were not. The electric fence, we use an electric fence to
Okay.
keep them in.
Okay.
And that's all it needs. Pigs will learn that electric fence, they do not like to get shocked and they'll stay away from it. But these didn't know that. So when they hit the electric fence, they ran right through it. And they just kept right on running.
Ooh.
And so we chased pigs.
Okay.
For a long time.
Okay. Okay.
One of them got across the creek and up into a woods, into a briar patch. And so we had to build a fence around the briar patch
Oh my God. Oh my.
to have it caught. And then we parked the trailer up against the fence,
Yeah.
the opening, and put some feed in the trailer, and then it went in the trailer. So then we just
you
closed
could
the door.
write a book.
Yeah, we could.
Interesting. So now, how do you rotate those? Do you butcher them every 3-4 months, or how does that work for the?
Usually a couple times a year.
Couple times
so
a
when
year.
we bought them, some of them were a little bit bigger, some a little smaller. Now I'm getting some smaller ones again. So we'll butcher the first ones in August, and then in I think September, October, then we'll butcher the rest of them.
Now, whenever you say butcher, you work with a company, a local?
Local processor down by Mount Eaton.
Okay.
Uncle Danny's
Okay.
is the name of the place.
Good.
Mhm.
So that's quite a job itself.
It
to
is.
get everything loaded up, get down there.
Yeah.
So do you have like a container to take the animals in, or how does
We
that
have a
work?
trailer,
A trailer.
yeah, that we haul them in. And we've learned that you don't force a pig to go somewhere when the pig weighs 300 pounds. They can be very stubborn. So we've learned that enticement is much better than enforcement. So you entice them, you train them. So there's certain things we've learned that they really like. So they really like eggs.
Oh.
So we have extra eggs, we have broken eggs or cracked eggs, we have some that are too small to sell, and some of them are laid on the ground and they're dirty, and so we take those and we feed them to the pigs a little bit at a time.
Nice.
And so they really like the pigs. So then when we want to catch them, we put the eggs in the trailer, and they run right in the trailer to get the eggs, and we close the door.
Nice. Did you know that, or was it
No.
a trial and error?
It was trial and error.
Oh,
We
interesting.
fought with them like crazy the first couple times.
Wow.
So there's got to be a better way.
So whenever you say you will replenish the stock, where do you go to get more pigs? I mean, how do you make that decision?
I've been buying from farmers that grow them on pasture. So they're born outside.
Okay.
They're more of a heritage breed
Okay.
that I'm getting. And so because of that and the fact that they're outside and they do eat grass, pigs do eat grass,
Okay.
that the meat is more red. Like the pork chops are not white.
Okay.
So the pork chops are going to have more of a color to them, more of a reddish, pinkish color. So it's more of a heritage breed, and it gives it more flavor.
So what do you feed them other than being out in the grass?
They get a non-GMO grain mix along with some soaked barley. So we soak enough barley
Okay.
so that the pigs get 3 buckets and the chickens get 2 buckets.
Okay. Okay. How many chickens do we have at this time?
Between 250 and 300.
Wow, that's a lot. So who's responsible for getting all the eggs and all that? Is it you, Sandy?
We have a hired hand.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, that's
does
a
a
lot of
lot
work.
of the basic chores.
Right.
So yeah,
okay.
he collects the eggs. I sort them and put them in the cartons then.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. Nice, nice. Very good. And what type of chickens do you carry? I mean, there's different breeds.
The breed we use is called
Rhode Island Reds?
no
High-link?
Highland, something Highland.
Do they
There's
lay
a
a brown
brown-
egg?
Brown,
Yeah,
it's
they
a
like
brown
brown
egg.
eggs.
Yeah,
I've
it's a
heard
brown
of
egg.
brown eggs. I don't
They're
know
a
why.
smaller brown chicken. They're not quite as big as the Rhode Island Reds, so they
Okay.
don't eat quite as much feed.
Yeah, because I had chickens at one time.
Hmm.
But then something had gotten in the chicken house. Do I need to say any more? I don't know
no.
if it was a fox or a raccoon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any issues with safety for your
We
animals?
did have at the beginning. We had a lot of trouble, and we tried different things. We tried electric fence. We tried different things, and it just didn't work. And so we got Great Pyrenees guard dogs.
Oh, okay. Tell us about
And
those.
so we have 4 of those right now. And so we have one with the turkeys and one with the broilers and 2 of them with the laying hens because they run in the bigger pasture. And so we have 2 of them in that pen.
Now, what kind of dog is this again?
It's a large white breed,
Okay.
and they have kind of a long hair. They don't get cold in the wintertime. When it's cold and snowing and blowing, they have a doghouse, but they're laying out in the snow.
Really?
They're called Great Pyrenees.
Great what?
Great Pyrenees.
Really? So what are they trained to do, or is it just
they just by instinct, they protect the animals they grow up with.
Oh.
And so we
And
raise
just
them.
their presence deters a lot of, the predators like foxes and
Right.
minks, coyotes, raccoons.
Right,
We have
exactly.
all of them on the farm.
So how many dogs do you have?
We have 4 right now.
4. Is that usually the norm?
About that. That seems about what we need because we have different locations. So
Okay.
we have to kind of move the dogs around depending on what we have where.
Right, right. So is it basically protecting just the chickens and the turkeys, or is it overall?
Yeah, the chickens and the turkeys
That's
are
what I
what needs.
thought.
Yeah, the pigs will fend for themselves and the cows will too.
Right.
Larger animals.
Interesting. Very good. Okay. So where did you get all of your specific training on? I know some of it was trial and error, but I'm sure you've taken workshops and things of that sort.
We went to a number of grass-fed beef conferences that people that do what we do early on, and we learned a lot at those conferences. I also read a lot online. You can find a tremendous amount of information.
Right.
On Facebook, there's groups that I'm part of, grass-fed beef, pastured poultry, and so I learned a lot on that too, of other people's experiences, and learned the hard way.
Right.
Got to know some farmers and went and talked to them and learned a lot that way as well.
Right. Well, I think the nutrient-wise from the meat is so great. I feel as though there's more B12
There
and
is.
selenium, which selenium goes in and supports your thyroid as well. And I'm personally seeing a lot of clients that have an underactive thyroid. But then I usually go back to the root cause. Number one is they, of course, take a shower with city water. So I send them to True Value Hardware to get a filter for your shower, which is under $100, and that's going to last you for a long time. And all you have to do is replace that little thing as well, the little tablet. And so, and then I think it's high in iron as well, correct?
All minerals. Grass-fed beef, that's one of the studies that we recently read, that grass-fed meat has more mineral in it, all the major minerals.
That's really good to know because, like we've talked about, our soil is very deficient in minerals today because it's been cultivated over and over and over. And with the barley and the foods that you're feeding the animals, it's giving our bodies better nutrition. Which again, our diet is presenting a lot of diseases today. And whenever, I mean, I don't want to mention names, but you have to be very particular on where you buy your foods. It's just like if you gave your car poor gasoline, what would it be doing? Puttering down the road. So if you feed it high quality foods, it's going to be working much better, and it's no different with humans.
And so with our beef and the grass, we graze differently than a lot of farmers do. We don't, we're not clipping the pasture all the time. We let the grass grow and mature, and that holds the moisture in the ground. And so we're not tilling it up and replanting all the time. So we let the grass grow and mature, and then the cattle just go through and they pick out the parts that they want. And so it's a little different way of grazing.
So do you have to reseed some of the grass occasionally? Do you have a cycle on how you do this, or?
Not a real definite plan. Mostly where I reseed is where, like, the pigs tear it up quite a bit when they go through a pasture. The chickens also do some, so I reseeded the chicken pasture last year. And then I have the one in the wintertime when we have the cattle out on pasture, then they tear that up. It gets muddy a lot in Ohio.
Right. And rainy period.
And rainy periods.
Yeah,
and so when it's muddy, then they tear that up, and so I have to reseed that. And I like to seed some Sudan grass in the summer. That was the one picture where the cows were, where the grass was as tall. That's the Sudan grass. And what that grows good in dry weather.
I was going to say, with the dry spell we're having right now.
So I'm planting that right now, and that should be ready to graze in August when it's usually dry.
Right, so you have different fields for them to graze, and you rotate as well?
We rotate around on a regular basis.
That's good. Yeah, it's very good.
We have 2 pastures that are across the road, so we have to move them from one side of the road to the other. And so we just open the gates and call them, and they follow me across the road to the other pasture.
Nice, very nice,
Across the
very
road.
nice. Now, whenever you get your turkeys, not to change the
Sure.
our direction here, where do you purchase your turkeys and like your chickens? Do you have a certain place you go to purchase them?
Yeah,
So-
there's places that raise them, and they actually ship them to us. USPS.
Yeah,
through
right,
the
because I
mail,
remember
yeah.
being a mail carrier,
Yeah,
we'd have little peeps, and I'd always love to look at them, and the ducks as well, and bees, But do you have, I'm certain they have to meet certain criteria, correct?
Yeah, I kind of got information from the people that process our chickens and turkeys,
Right,
as where a good place to buy.
right.
And so they've kind of pointed me in the direction of the people that we get
Right.
them
Well,
from.
yeah, because I think that would you would want a good beginning, and then for you to continue on with that as well, right? And so the chickens, you usually butcher them how often? I mean, they lay the eggs, and then we have a routine where you butcher them, right? It's like a cycle going.
Well, our meat birds are different from our layers.
Oh, okay.
We buy in the layers, and we usually keep those for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
See,
we
I
kind of
didn't know
keep
that.
rotating through. We keep
Maybe not quite that long, a year and a half or something.
Year and a
Okay,
half.
yeah, okay.
And then what do you do? Then do you butcher them and
Yeah.
then okay?
Well, we actually sell those. We found local people that want them.
For bone
We
broth.
sell them as
We
stewing
just-
hens.
Well, yeah,
just
because it'd
sew
be a
them
little
up.
tougher, so I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it, yeah.
we sell them
Well,
as
that's
string
good to
hens.
know, okay, yeah. Because, like I said, I used to grow the chickens, or raise them, and I enjoyed it, but it does take a lot of time. And then with the safety factor as well, because it was like, a war zone when we went out in the morning, so I haven't continued on with that. So what else can you share? We have another 8 minutes left.
Okay.
So.
Well, we are launching into a new venture.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
We have purchased a property that we're going to turn into an Airbnb / farm stay
Okay,
kind of property. It actually is part of the original home farm.
okay,
His sister owned it, and she's downsizing and moving, and so we'd kind of like to keep the property in the family as
Right.
long as possible. I don't know how long that will continue, but for now.
one day at a time.
And I've always had kind of a dream of doing something like that anyway. I enjoy hospitality and that kind
Right,
of thing. So
right.
that's in the works. We're in the process of renovating that. So if you want to keep up with that, if you want to join our newsletter, you can go to our website
Right.
and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get that information that way. And there's some blogs about it. You can, on our blog page, is titled Farm Life,
Okay.
and you can find some things about that as well as recipes and things like that too.
So whenever they come to the B&B, are they able to come and visit your farm as well?
Yes.
Which I think would be very good for children today, to come and see the chickens, the pigs, the turkeys, whatever, So the B&B is located on what, 2 or 3 acres, or is it attached right
It's
next
5
to it?
acres. It's actually across the street from our house.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Right
I know,
beside
I
the
pull-
maple woods.
I know you're pulling the lane, so is it on that side, on the other side?
It's on
or?
the other side,
Other
down the
side.
hill.
Okay, nice. So it's a nice getaway, going back into peace and quiet, and
yes.
getting your body back into balance and listening to nature.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice, nice. So now, is it going to be like a wood stove, or are you going to have gas heat, or how's that going to, you haven't gotten that far?
There will be a ventless propane heater, but then there's also electric heat
Okay.
backup.
But no wood burner.
No.
Okay, it's all right, it's okay. Because
A
we
little-
have,
I would love
we
to.
debated about that, but it's just a
Yeah.
little too much
well, and then
upkeep
with the
It's-
being uncovered insurance-wise,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're not
That's
there
a
to
big
and a
issue.
lot of
control that.
people are not familiar
If
with
people
how a
aren't
wood
used
stove
to it,
works.
it's-
Correct.
Yeah,
Right,
So-
right.
It's
The reason I ask, we are an all-electric home, and we do have a wood burner in the basement. And so when it gets really below 20, we have the wood burner going. And it's a lot of work, but I love the wood heat. It's very, very warm.
I love wood stoves.
I do
would
too.
do it in a heartbeat, but
But I
like you said, it's an
understand.
insurance issue, and just, you never know
It's
who's
too
coming
much.
in. It's just,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to do it. So.
No, especially if they're not used to
Right.
the country life.
Right.
Okay, so we have your, let's go through. So what different things do we offer? We didn't talk about that. Do you want to go through that a little bit? We have the pork. You have the pork chops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the bacon and the ham roast.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me the difference between the sugar-free bacon and the bacon.
Our bacon is made with our maple sugar,
Okay.
but then we also have a sugar-free bacon. We were getting some requests for that, and so we asked our butcher, and they said, yeah, we can do that. So they made some without any sugar at all.
Okay, nice.
So we do have both.
It's been quite popular.
Nice.
Yeah, we sell
Very
quite
nice.
a bit of the sugar-free.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people are trying to go sugar-free
Right,
as
the
much
keto
as
diets
they can.
and things
Exactly.
like that. So,
Yeah. And we have the maple syrup here. I know I had bought some last year for everybody in our family for Christmas, and you make your own maple syrup. So
Yes.
tell us about that. I know you have an event in the, when do we do
the
it?
spring.
In
Yeah.
March, yes. When we're boiling syrup, we do an open house. You can come and do farm tours and watch us make maple syrup, and
Right.
we make maple popcorn and maple ice cream, homemade
Nice.
ice cream, and
Nice.
some various goodies like that. So
Did you have a good turnout this last year?
we did. It was down a little bit because it was really cold.
Right, because I know, I remember I received your newsletter,
Yeah.
and I was thinking we'd bring our grandson over.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he had something because he's in basketball and all different things, so
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
And-
really cold. But
And then you have the little mason jar that adds, this goes on here and you can pour this out. You offer that as well,
we
correct?
wanted to bottle in mason jars, but it's a little bit difficult
To pour it out.
to serve maple syrup out of a mason jar. So we found those, and we just
Nice, very nice.
buy them and resell them.
Right, right.
It's a
an
code
option.
for maple syrup. You're required to sell it in Ohio to bottle it at 180 degrees.
Oh,
And it just went totally against our philosophy to put 180 degree liquid into a plastic jug.
no, you can't do that.
It just didn't.
That's not healthy.
It
There's
just
too
isn't what
many
we
ifs
wanted
and
to
ifs
do.
because of the plastic and what
Yeah.
the heat's going
Right.
to give off.
Yep.
So you're
Yep.
much safer with the glass.
So we wanted to do glass, and by using the mason jars, then we have a reusable jar.
And that's a good idea. Absolutely, yeah. And then I know too you offer some good healthy salt at your store. So tell us about that.
We have it's marketed under the brand called Real Salt. It's real similar to Himalayan pink salt,
Right.
but it's a little more economical because it's not shipped halfway around the world. The Real Salt comes from Redmond, Utah,
Okay.
and we actually got into that because he feeds it for cattle. He actually sells it to his day job is dairy nutrition consulting.
Okay.
And so he sells this salt for dairy cattle, and he sells it in the 1-ton totes. So he sells it by the semi-load.
Like 20 semi-loads this year already.
Yeah,
Really?
but they also have the human side, the human grade side of it. And so
Right.
we were recommending it to our customers, and we said, well, we have access to it because we already work with the company, so we'll just offer it in our store.
Well,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah.
And the thing is, what you have to understand, if you buy the Morton salt or the regular salt in the store, it is chlorinated and it is processed.
And it has microplastics. I saw a study recently that 36 out of 39 samples tested had microplastics.
Wow.
And Redmond salt and Celtic salt, I think, were 2 of the 3. I'm not sure what the third one. That was the 2 that were listed by the article that I read.
Very interesting.
But also that table salt has been stripped of all the
All
minerals,
the nutrients,
natural
exactly.
minerals.
Yeah, it's just, no.
Where the Redmond has all the trace minerals.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a very, very good salt. So you have a lot of different varieties when you stop in your store. You know, you got the maple syrup, you've got the salt, and then we have, you know, like all of your steak here, the beef, and then you have the turkey, which I love the turkey. The ground turkey, I like that because I make a meatloaf out of it as well. And then what's nice too, on your newsletter, a lot of times you will share recipes, which I think is very helpful as well. So, anyway, so what we have to understand is that health is wealth, and you've got to be the CEO, and here is a opportunity to take a trip. Is it best to call you ahead of time or just stop in?
Our farm store is open Tuesdays and Fridays from 2 to 6.
Okay.
Or by appointment.
Okay.
So if those hours don't work for you, you can call us and
Right, yeah, because I
set up
usually
another
call
time.
as well. Yeah, because I have your brochure here as well. And like I said, I'm going to have that in the office, and I'll probably make some more and even hand them out at the flea market in Hartsville as well.
Okay,
You know? So thank you for taking the time to share, and enjoy the summer. So I'm sure this is the busiest time, or is the winter better? It doesn't matter.
I think every season
We're
is
always
busy.
busy.
It just changes.
It's every
Busyness
season.
changes.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. It's different things. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, and I'd be happy to share all the information on their farm. But it'd be a good day trip to take your grandkids, just to go out to the farm and just to get out in the fresh air and back to nature. So be well, enjoy, and thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
And that's okay. We gotta educate and share as much as we can. So thank you, and enjoy the summertime.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.